The question I've been getting asked a lot recently is, are you going to speedrun the Suikoden remakes when they come out, we think, like at the start of next year? And, well, there's a short answer and a long answer. The short answer is basically, yeah, probably, but not competitively. I might do them maybe a couple of times as a bit of a meme, but I doubt they'll be speedrun seriously and competitively. I don't know that. They might, but I doubt it. That's the short answer. The long answer is then basically explaining what I mean by the short answer. And that's what the rest of this video is going to be. So I'll be talking mostly about Suikoden 1, because that's the one that I run. I'm not a runner of Suikoden 2, although I know a bit about it, but basically the same thing applies to both games, and that is that the stuff about them that's broken is probably going to be fixed, and it's the broken stuff that we exploit to make the most optimal speedruns. So for example, in Suikoden 2, again, this isn't my game, so I don't know a huge amount about it, but I know some. They use a glitch with the kindness rune. The kindness rune gives you a bonus to your power stat, and you can basically underflow that, so it gives you a maximum power stat. That's probably going to get fixed. Also, I mean, the famous one with Suikoden 2, that if you've played the game, or if you're a fan of the series, you probably know about, the one where you can push the gate open, get early access to the Matilda area and get super high levels. That's probably going to get fixed. Yeah, stuff like that. Suikoden 1, well, there's one big thing that is probably not going to work the same at all. Smaller things like the bribe glitch. If you've ever watched a glitched speedrun of Suikoden 1, you'll know that we don't fight any of the bosses. You just double tap bribe really quickly, and if you've got the money, it lets you escape from boss fights. I imagine that's probably going to be fixed. We've recently just discovered a bunch of invisible characters, so like you can, the longest known one was Invisible Vicky, so you can access Vicky in a teleport menu early to teleport out to other places. You know, imagine this kind of thing's going to be fixed. And even in the last, well, this year, we've discovered that invisible character glitch is kind of ubiquitous throughout the game. Ubiquitous, stupid word. Is kind of, is present throughout the game. There are lots of invisible characters, but there are lots of invisible characters you can find. There are only a few that are useful for the speedrun, but there are a couple that are being worked into the speedrun that I'm grinding right now over on my Twitch channel. Little plug. So yeah, there's that. But then the big thing with Suikoden 1, and if you've watched any of the Suikoden 1, any of the modern Suikoden 1 speedruns, you will know that RNG manipulation is a big, big thing. That Suikoden 1, the way that the RNG works is, I might have to do a separate video on the way the RNG works for Suikoden 1, because it's quite big, and how you manipulate it, because it's quite a big topic. But it's basically a long, long sequence of numbers, and you know, sequential, like in order. Sort of. As a fast explanation, that'll do. Like, imagine a long, long sequence in order, and all the fights that you might see live at certain points on that sequence, and all the enemy actions are determined by numbers in that sequence, and all the NPC movements, and all the item drops from encounters. And we are basically able to control our movement through the game such that we know where we are in that sequence, and therefore control events that happen in the game. That is the entire core of the Suikoden 1 speedrunning. And since it's probably pretty likely that they are going to be remaking the games from scratch rather than trying to make old games work on new hardware, by today's game standards, they're pretty simple games. The chances are they're just going to have them remade just using the old, the old sprite assets seem to still be present in Suikoden 1. They seem to be using the same sprites. But it looks like the core of the game is going to be remade from scratch. And so that being the case, it's very unlikely that we're going to be able to manipulate RNG in the remake of Suikoden 1. Now, that's not to say that there won't be some more broken stuff to exploit, because there might, but it's going to take a while to find. We're still finding stuff. Like I said, the invisible characters thing in Suikoden 1, we just found the full extent of that, like, this year. And yeah, we're still kind of finding new things, new ways to exploit it. So there will probably be things about the remakes that we can exploit, but it's going to take a while to find those, and it's hard to believe that anything is going to be as exploitable as the way that the RNG works in Suikoden 1. So for that reason, I think that the competitive speedrunning of Suikoden 1 will remain with the older versions. Probably the version on the PSTV on this thing. And there might be some more sort of casual speedruns of the remakes. Maybe that's a good thing, because another thing I get asked about quite a lot is the idea of a no RNG manip category for speedrunning Suikoden 1. And because a lot of people want that. People, you know, there are people who would love to be able to get into speedrunning the game because it's fun, but the idea of delving deep into the mechanics and understanding the RNG and all of that is just kind of, it's a lot. So, like, people want a way to speedrun it without having to worry about all this technical RNG manipulation, because it is a bit much, if I'm honest. So maybe the remakes will provide a way to do that no RNG manip version of the run, because we can't really do that with the current versions, because it's so, once you play through it a few times, if you play through the same section several times, many times, you will see the patterns, you'll see the same fights over and over again, and you'll come to know, for example, which ones you can run away from and which ones you can bribe. And so once you've played through a section a few times and you hit the same fights and you know, oh, I know I can successfully run from this, and so you do, you've RNG manipulated the game. And you're now no longer taking part in the no RNG manip category. Do you know what I mean? So it's really, really hard to, it would be impossible to set the guidelines on the no RNG manip thing, because as soon as you come to recognize a pattern and know how to navigate that pattern, you're manipulating the game's RNG. So yeah, so it can't really be done with the games in their current state. But maybe the no RNG manip category that will probably emerge from the remakes will open up Suikoden speedrunning to a whole new group of people, and it will probably be its own category. You know, it will probably have to separate out the category into the remake version versus the old version. And that's cool. I'm up for that. And I'll probably have a run on the leaderboard for the new version. Because, you know, why not? And maybe it will become super competitive. Maybe we will find ways to break it down and, you know, twist it to our own speedrunny satisfaction. But anyway, that's an answer to the question, am I going to speedrun the remakes? Yeah, probably, but I imagine the competitive versions of the Suikoden 1 speedrun will remain on the PSTV. If you haven't seen a Suikoden speedrun, or even if you have and you want to see more, I'm very active doing that on my Twitch channel. There's a link in the description. I'll try and do a video, an in-depth RNG explanation video at some point. So yeah, see ya.